Welcome to episode 327 of the Working Fans Podcast. It is the holidays, but baby, it's warm outside, but it's kind of cold in here. I don't know. That analogy was going to work better, but it is rainy. It is warm. And the Working Fans Podcast is here. We got plenty to talk to you about this week, but we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Working Fans Podcast. Go over there, check all the great stuff we have. We've got... If you want to check out our interview with strongman and pro wrestler Ken Powers, that's up right now. Everything goes up pretty well as soon as we record it. Full unedited episodes. If you want a free 2 months of the podcast, we'll work a link in there for you. For everybody watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. And Dave, we're coming off a big weekend last weekend. There's been a lot of talk about it. John Cena and Gunther. And in our bonus Patreon talk today, we are not only going to talk about Trump and Mick Foley, we are not only going to talk about who will Gunther retire next. That'll all be at the end. But right now, we are talking about Saturday night's main event. Dave, you got to watch more of this than I did. How did you enjoy it? What are your thoughts coming out of it? I'm hearing a lot of grumbling coming out of the retirement.
People are really mad about that finish, but let's go in a little bit order. I don't even have my notes in front of me. I enjoyed this show. I can tell you what happened and when it happened, and how often can I retain information a week later on wrestling shows. I think that says something. Good or bad, it left an impression. First match, Obafemi, Cody Rhodes, shit finish. They did the Drew McIntyre DQ, but I agree with Wei Ting from Post Wrestling. Him and John were having a little debate about this. I thought this was kind of good for Obi in a lot of ways because this was Oba's first impression. A lot of people haven't seen him as much as they've seen Jervon and Trick Williams and some other people from NXT on the main roster. Oba hasn't made many trips. And what happened during this match was Oba's dominating a lot of times. He's doing the big man and force. Cody ended up getting blood on his ear, legit, in this match at one point. So now you're looking Cody getting busted up, Oba's looking dominant. The crowd was into Oba at times in this, going, who. And even though it was a shit finish, and I didn't like the finish of Drew getting involved and people booed it, I thought great impression for Oba, and I think he's just money when this guy goes up to the main roster finally.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a good launching pad for him. I always hate the fucked finish, but I guess you got to find a way to maybe continue the Drew storyline with Cody, maybe, kind of keep Oba looking strong. Odd choice, but I mean, they had bigger fish to fry on this show.
Speaking of being put over, Ruka. She actually got the win over Bayley. This is what I predicted last week. She was the one that got the win. At the end of each of these matches, though, they all did a little, salute thing, for John Cena. So that's about it with that. Other than that, we also had Leon Slater and Jervon. Like I said, they'd have a competitive match with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. But Dragon Lee and AJ were victorious. Let's get to what people want to talk about. That retirement match, Gunther versus Cena. A lot of opinions on this. A lot of people were mad that Cena got defeated in retirement match, but not only defeated, he quit. I think I said this was potentially one of the finishes I saw on the table. I didn't think they pulled a trigger on it, honestly. I think I'm in the minority, but I'm kind of glad they did. I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why I also know it's not the best idea. The original heat of this reminded me of a finish Tony Schiavone talked about on his What Happened When podcast, where I want to say it was Lex Luger had Ric Flair in the torture rack in Baltimore, maybe for the Great American Bash. And he had blood coming down from his forehead. Wasn't even a huge cut. And they waved off in the athletic commission. And Schiavone says, they were pissed off at the company that night. They wanted to hurt us. As an announcer, it was one of the few times he didn't feel safe, And I felt that I was very obvious here. Like when Triple H came out to, support Cena later, he was the one that got booed, not Gunther. They were pissed off at the company. That being said, when you follow up on Monday Night Raw, and Gunther is in there, and he's getting massive heat now. And Gunther is saying he tapped out like a little bitch, which is hilarious for Gunther to say that. And then Gunther is just such a great at being an asshole. Like, this guy was always a great wrestler. But over the last couple of years, he's really turned it up on being a heel and being this great asshole character, to the point you see AJ Styles looking at Gunther afterwards, and Gunther just says, oh, AJ, does that whole thing. Really just a great smart ass. And we'll talk about this more on Patreon, but I feel this is just the launching pad for Gunther. I think the stars are aligning for this guy, and there's going to be quite a few potential retirements in this future that's going to be at the hands of this guy. And yeah, and as far as Cena's smile at the end, I can totally see where people, and maybe I'm wrong here, people didn't like that, you know, like, I think it was Cena saying, shit, there's no way out of this. I had a good career. He got me. It's time to go, guys. You know what I mean? I totally get, and at the same time as saying that, and I know I'm talking a lot here, and also I do think, I see the point, and I do find humor in the fact that, you know, just give up. Like this is, you know, this guy spent his whole career never give up, and now just make a shirt that says never give up, but or just give up. But whatever. I liked it overall. The more I had time to think about it,
I'll be critical. People being the smile is maybe the lamest thing of it.
I thought so.
It doesn't bug me a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, the finish is pretty much going where we thought it would go. And I mean, I think with anything, people don't like when something comes to an end, whether it's a TV show. Your TV show is never going to have that perfect ending. Right. Sometimes you get to the end of a book and you're like, oh, the end of that book wasn't as good as the journey. This was the one match I was able to catch on this at the party. I was watching it on my phone. Yeah. I didn't see the whole thing because my phone broke up a little bit, and then near the end, I shut it off. But to me, it seemed like a good match. It seemed like a good enough way to go out. The whole show was a tribute to him. Yeah. I couldn't get over the crowd following Gunther to his bus and booing when it's adults. Like adults reacting like that. In the arena, I could see you're playing along with what's going on, and you're contributing to the atmosphere. But to follow this guy to his bus and boo him is a little much. The one video I saw that made sense was the kid that was mouthing off at Gunther, and Gunther was just letting it happen. That is more something where I'm like, I get that because it's a kid. He's decked out in the Cena gear. He's going to see his hero. And then this guy retires him. It's wild because you don't see heat like that in wrestling a lot anymore.
And that's where I think people, you know, are upset. But I don't know. I'm not against it. I think it was good. I get that. I heard Brian Alvarez says you don't have to lose your retirement match. And people talked about that. And this wasn't the finish they want, or there was ways they could have got around it. I get that. Then maybe to that point, you know, because people like to pull Sting, then maybe we should have booked him in a tag match. Or maybe we should have booked him in another match with somebody who we're not going to look to catapult in the main event scene. But my guess is John probably wanted to do this, and although I think they're taking some criticism for it now, I think when, again, I'll talk about this in Patreon later, when we start looking at the people Gunther's going to retire, I think in the next year or so, I think you're going to look at even a bigger main event player, and if Gunther wasn't already, I think this guy is solidifying a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it was a perfect retirement, but this last show and this last match was really as good as it could be.
Way more memorable than Goldberg retirement.
Yeah, and we went from the Cena retirement to Monday night. We finally got the revealing of the Masked Man. This is something that has been talked about since Survivor Series. You know, talk about another odd finish.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on Austin Theory in this? I don't mind it. It's about time this guy got featured.
So this could be good, but this is more like you're going to have to wait and see. You know what I mean? He hasn't been positioned or put in a position where he is a big surprise and is that guy for normally a spot like this. So in that sense, I don't know how much sense it makes, but if you're just looking for a way to get him in the vision, he's a talented performer and you want to give him this chance to run. He's an interesting pick. I think you're right. He's got talent, and he could be someone that they do something with. I think him and Logan Paul could be a great chicken shit heel tag team, and maybe we could do something there. Would Bronson Reed continue to be that enforcer and Braun Breaker being the champion, you know, come after the Netflix debut maybe with CM Punk? I think this could really add some prestige to the vision, especially with a mouthpiece like Paul Heyman, obviously. But it's going to be a wait-and-see approach. Overall, Austin Theory has not been put in a position where, you know, he's going to elevate this group. It's going to be more like, let's see what this group can do for him.
Yeah, because he was somebody that was big in the other version, in the prior version of Evolve years ago. Really good indie talent. people were excited when he made his way to WWE. And then what's really kind of hurt him was at first that big Vince McMahon co-sign. We saw like a push then, and then he got it put into this weird team with Grayson Waller that, you know, was all right, but like, you know, kind of got featured a little bit and then disappeared. I'm waiting to see, like, could we finally get the version of Austin Theory we've been waiting for? And Austin Theory paired with Logan Paul, that's interesting because really two hateable faces that I feel you could almost get like that Gunther level of heat with these two guys.
Yeah, definitely.
And WWE Raw was big, but then NXT was big. We had a couple news stories coming out of this. Leon Slater getting the chance to go for that NXT championship at New Year's Evil. I was surprised by that because he's a good talent, but I don't see him winning that NXT championship. But I think that could be a heck of a match, him versus Obafemi. Do you think there's a chance he shocks us and walks away with that title?
Only because it'd be so shocking. It's a possibility, but I don't think so. I'll put the house on Oba. I don't think the TNA X Division champion will win the NXT Heavyweight Championship, but I will say this about Leon, and one of the reasons why I suggested this topic was because Leon was just on Saturday night's main event with Javon Evans and John Cena's retirement match. That is a TNA talent that is being heavily featured with their X Division title on Peacock on a big show when this company's about to go to AMC, you know, in a few weeks. So good on him. I think obviously it was TNA's high on him, but I think WWE's high on him too. And I think the fact that they're putting him in this position to again be in a main event with Obafemi for the NXT World Championship says a lot about Leon Slater. And this is another guy that I think bright future.
Is TNA higher on Leon Slater than they are on Mike Santana? Because this seems like a big spotlight to be putting on somebody, and it's well deserved, but you would almost think, why wouldn't you get like a Frankie Kazarian in there since he's your champ? Or Mike Santana since he's been such a featured name?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just somebody they also want to push and put on that spotlight. And maybe it's, you know, as we get ready for AMC, maybe it's just another way to like, hey, that Leon Slater guy, you've been watching the NXT on Peacock, he's going to be over here on AMC with TNA. So maybe that's just part of it, you know?
Yeah, that's something. Get him some, you know, exposure before the big move.
I guess to say to your question too is maybe they just see something in him as a young, exciting guy as opposed to the other two. Like, not that, you know, Santana's great, Frankie's a veteran, but, you know, Leon's got a lot of youth on his side.
Makes sense. There was another news story that came out of NXT that I got to ask you about because I heard the wording you used in the short. I heard from another podcast that the ending to this was a little weird.
Yeah.
This is something I haven't yet watched. I planned on watching it when doing my work last night, but Thea Hail wins that North American Championship. How was NXT this week overall first? And what happened during this match?
Well, it was enjoyable. I think it felt a little unpredictable, and part of it was because of this right here. So Blake Monroe's flat down in the middle of the ring. Thea comes off the ropes and kind of springboards herself and does like a coffin drop, but, you know, off the middle ropes and not off the top or anything. But she kind of throws her body in it, and it looks like she knocked the wind out of Blake Monroe. Ref is like on the spot here too, so he doesn't, you know, even buy them any time. Not knocking him for that, but I guess, you know what I mean. Maybe an official might have caught this and saw that she was knocked him in a little more, but he was right there in position. It was a 1-2. Maybe he stopped a half a second, and it was 3. And Blake finally kicked out, but like, it was already clearly 3. And so they rang the bell. At first, they played Blake Monroe's music because she was probably supposed to win. Then they switched to Thea Hail, and Thea Hail is crying and she's excited. And if Thea was legit confused by this, she played it off well as this was her big moment. And yeah, so it made for an exciting show. I don't think this was the planned finish. It seems like everybody seems to agree this wasn't the planned finish. But yeah, good for Thea Hail. And we'll see where they go from here. My hunch is Jordan Grace has been kind of supportive of Thea at the same time, also sounding like she's like, I guess you managed to pull this off before me. Maybe I can learn something from you. And I just wonder if we're going to be getting a Jordan Grace heel turn, and this will turn into Jordan Grace winning this championship, and they'll turn something out of this.
That could be an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
I got to check this out. Thea Hail, definitely high energy. I didn't know if I necessarily saw her as championship worthy, but, she's got it. Let's see how she runs with it. It's just something noteworthy this week, something I needed to catch up on, something else I need to catch up on, and we definitely suspected this. The return of MJF Wednesday night. I think we thought more that he was going to put himself into that battle royal, but inserting himself into the main event at World's End. How do you feel about this main event coming together? Because it was just last week that people were complaining that this main event got made a 3-way. Now it's a 4-way.
It seems more interesting, honestly, just because MJF is just back doing this, and it wasn't the Diamond Ring, Battle Royal. Looks like he's just not going to be involved in that this year. And I think it's interesting in the sense that he's coming back, making this cash in. And if you look at it, like, he's got history with all these people too, right? History with Hangman from the beginning, history with Swerve. Joe was the one that took the title off MJF. Swerve was the one that took the title off of Joe. Joe took it off Hank. So it's like all these guys got long history with each other. And I don't know. I have this feeling that I think MJF might end up winning the championship here. I think I heard somebody brought up a good point that it'll be like he can't beat Hangman, but he still has the belt. And then those two are going to have, So it'll be interesting. I'm happy to see MJF back. I will say this. I think maybe Way and John talked about this too. The only thing, if you're going to nitpick it, was that he blazed everybody on the mic here. Like, nobody got anything on him, including, in particular, sort of Strickland, who's supposed to be your cool babyface. He had people calling him like Diddy. He had a Diddy chant going to like one of your top babyfaces. So I got to see, I can see where that be counterproductive, but it's great to see MJF back, and I think he adds a lot to this 4-way championship match.
I was going to ask who you thought would win. Does this kind of tip the hat? But you picked MJF. It makes sense. I mean, he's had a lot of time off. This would be an interesting way for him to end up with the championship. Yeah, it was a return that we saw coming. I'm excited for World's End. When is that? That's like in a week or so, right?
It's got to be, it's like almost New Year's Eve or something like that, all right? Like, so what is
maybe December 30th, January 2nd. It's got to be coming up.
December 27th. So
that's next Saturday.
Yeah, and while we're at it here, even though there are 6 matches announced so far, there will be a Blue and Gold League semifinal. So there'll be 2 semifinal matches.
Ooh, if only we had known. Do you got the matches in front of you? Because we pre-recorded next week's episode. So let's give them a surprise World's End preview.
Sure. So there's going to be some Continental Classic run-up and finals. I don't have the standings in front of me. I will just say Okada will be in the finals because I don't see how you don't have Okada in the finals here. And I think the obvious would be Takeshita just because they've been like building towards that. But I do wonder if
there's been some good upsets this year.
Yeah. And I wonder if you hold off on Takeshita and Okada, but I don't think you would do Kyle Fletcher, who's one of the leads, because he would be the other guy, right? And so is there a strong baby face currently that I'm forgetting? Maybe, but I'll go with Takeshita for now. I'll say Takeshita and Okada are going to somehow make it in the finals of this. And
I'll go Fletcher and Okada.
Okay. Do we just go Okada wins the whole thing again? I don't know. I'm going to say, I guess.
I'm going to say Takeshita wins it just because he's got that IWGP championship and it'll be something going into Wrestle Kingdom. In the next couple weeks, that'll be big.
I'm going to agree with you, actually. I'll say Kester wins. Chris Statlander, Jamie Hayter, AEW Women's Championship. I'll go
Statlander will hold on to it. It'll be a good match, but I don't know if Hayter's been built up enough at this moment to take it off her.
I already said Samoa Joe's winning the 4-way. Any contradiction there?
Oh, I thought you said MJF was going to be winning.
I'm sorry, MJF. I did, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going MJF.
I was going to go MJF as well. Like, to make this big return and not win the championship would make him look ineffective. And like you said, he blazed everybody on the mic. When MJF comes back, he's that number one. If somehow MJF doesn't win it, Joe leaves with it. But I'm guessing MJF.
All right, and final match I have for now, 6 matches listed. The Babes of Wrath, the new AEW Women Tag Champs, Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale versus Athena and Mercedes Moné. I'll say Babes of Wrath are going to retain. I don't think you take the titles off them just yet.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous for them to lose it this early. this feels like more of a jumping off point for Mercedes and Athena to have more issues with each other and get a story going forward.
So we're talking a lot about AEW, MJF. We get a little bonus here. What else?
We're talking a lot about AEW.
There you go.
Sports Illustrated, because we're bringing this up last because next week is a pre-recorded episode where we are going to give you our 2025 wrestling picks. But Sports Illustrated came out with theirs this week, and there are a lot. It's entirely AEW from what I've got sitting in front of me. AEW got promotion of the year. We'll start with that.
Yeah.
We talked on this episode coming up about how AEW's done a lot in their favor this year. And at least the last 6 months have gotten a lot of goodwill towards AEW. So this doesn't surprise me, but I bet WWE's got to be feeling some sort of way where they've been making all these big moves. Yeah. They've been doing all these things that have been like really profitable.
Sure.
But AEW promotion of the year, that's kind of wild.
Creatively, this was great timing for AEW to get this because we're just coming off that retirement match that, like I said, I enjoyed, but a lot of people did not, right? So there's a little bit of heat on the company for that right now. And this is probably the first time, like, we've had some criticism kind of creeping up with WWE this week. The ESPN deal, people didn't like, right? WrestleMania going to Saudi Arabia, people didn't like. And now
ticket prices for everything.
Ticket prices, boom, all that, happened. And then, here we go. And now it's like AEW creatively just doing a little better, haven't changed anything, and then boom. Sports Illustrated names the promotion of the year. Yeah, I could see it. I picked TNA when we were talking, obviously, for promotion because I just said to think. But, if it was cop out, I guess I really liked AEW this year, but I still feel like we're just starting to get that momentum. You know what I mean? I'm always so. But that being said, yeah, I would say creatively, they everybody's cooking a little more. I feel like WWE is at that point now where they were so hot that they're just coming down a little bit, and now they need to start building up again. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, great for AEW to get this award right now from Sports Illustrated.
One thing I wanted to bring up about WWE, because I just thought about it with them raising ticket prices and the big thing about it being harder for families to get in.
Yeah.
I was listening to the new Gorilla Monsoon book that was put out by Brian R. Solomon, Irresistible Force. And they were talking about, as Gorilla was coming up with WWE, when they were running these little buildings, there would be times where even Gorilla would be selling the tickets out front. And he talked about, or it was talked about in the book, like if he saw people come up with a family, he would give them a break on tickets just to make it easier for everybody to get in. So it's a little slice of humanity from Gorilla there.
Yeah.
It shows how the idea, like, for all the bad that Vince McMahon did, at one point there was a little bit more of a focus on families.
I think it's an old school promoter type thing too, to reach it. Yeah.
And SI Female Wrestler of the Year, Mercedes Moné. Kind of hard to argue with that. Male Wrestler of the Year, Hangman Adam Page. How you feeling about that? Because he did have the championship for a while. He was huge. I don't know if I'd necessarily put him at Male Wrestler of the Year, but I could be entirely wrong there.
I think if he did what Mercedes did and he had a much longer run at top for the whole year, I'd be okay with it. But I just felt there was no clear, I don't have a problem with it. Let's put it that way. But to me, it's just, there was no clear cut winner. I went Cody this year because he got the title back at SummerSlam and he was always near the top. But I think I heard someone say Cena, because he was on top at one point. And you did. Yeah. So, it's like, okay, but then Hangman, I could buy that too, but I don't think that one is as clear. Let's put it this way. Even though I didn't pick AEW as promotion of the year, I see that more. I see Mercedes. That was my pick. I agreed with that. But the Hangman one, sure. But I'm not as bullish on it, I guess.
Here's another one. Tag Team of the Year, FTR.
Okay, see, that's a go. I picked Brodino, Brody King and Bandito. So
this isn't the worst pick, but I think just like you said with the Male Wrestler of the Year, and we talked about it too, or we will talk about it. No tag team really stuck out. It's kind of picking who you like. I think I wanted to pick FTR. You'll have to see who we pick next week. I don't remember. Best in the Ring. If you had to guess, best in the ring,
This is going to be an AEW one now. Now, I want to know this. Is Will Ospreay on the table here? Because he got injured. So it's going to be Will Ospreay.
It's like you knew it. Yeah, it is Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay. Yeah. Let me tell you something here. I don't give a fuck. I hope somebody watches this and gets mad. It'd be funny to me. I love Will Ospreay and everything he does, and I'm big on this. People might not think that because I'm not 100% on anybody's corner, and that always seems to piss some people off when you're not 100%. But I think Gunther has made a real argument for best wrestler in the world too, and I think he does it the opposite of Will Ospreay, where he does as little as possible and still has a phenomenal match every single time. That being said, Will Ospreay's fucking great.
Yeah. Well, if you want to be mad, possibly stay around for the Patreon boys. We got 4 more categories here. Best on the mic.
Oh, best on the mic. Oh, okay. Yeah. So MJF, if we're gonna do
Tony Storm.
Oh, okay. I get it.
I think because MJF was gone for a lot of the year. That would be my guess.
Yeah, sure. I guess.
They've got Breakout Wrestler of the Year.
Al Fletcher.
Yeah. Storyline of the year.
Okay. Well, we're going to just stick with AEW, I guess, for the theme. Hangman taking the belt off the Death Riders. There's some kind of variation of that.
Hangman's redemption arc.
Okay.
And then rivalry of the year.
I think this was more last year. I think Hangman and Swerve, but my guess is Hangman and the Death Rider storyline in general.
Hangman and Moxley, yeah, was given.
Okay. So, yeah.
So it's kind of wild to see AEW cleaning up on these year-end awards.
You know, the cynic in me though wonders, and I would wonder this if it was WWE or like, is this guy just like or this person a hardcore AEW fan who has, you know? I mean, it's arguable all these awards they could have got, but it's just very funny that they got every single one.
Yeah, it almost feels like a statement at WWE. Like,
did Sports Illustrated actually write a damn article about WWE and ESPN recently? I wonder if that, or is that ESPN itself that had that on somebody?
They're like,
yeah,
you put me on the spot. I forgot. There's been so much negative talk about WWE and the ESPN deal. Like we talked about, it's ESPN, it's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's
money.
Yeah.
Make that fucking money.
And speaking of money, the rest of this episode is going to be on the Patreon portion. So we're going to play a little commercial here. And then the next time you see us live, it'll be in 2026 unless something catastrophic happens. But have a happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you, peeps. We got it on YouTube, by the way, over 5,000. Shout out to Finney if you're watching this.
Shout out to everybody. Yeah, we got over 5,000. We are only going to get bigger in the new year. We're only going to grow this Patreon more in the new year. And you know who else is going to be enjoying the new year? That's Finney Barry.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville. It's where wrestling lives.